this question came in from one of our current teachers. They asked, in your opinion, what distinguishes a great teacher from a good teacher?
Okay. I'd probably break that down into 4 different aspects. I think the first one would be subject knowledge. Great teachers have incredible depth of subject knowledge. They know their subject inside out at all levels. Second part of connected to that would be something called pedagogical content knowledge. So not only knowing the content of your subject, but how students learn that content. So sometimes I've experienced where teachers with PhDs may struggle to connect with students that are slightly younger because they don't know how to break down the content into manageable chunks for younger students or students that are just starting their journey with the content. So knowing your subject is incredibly important, but knowing how students learn your subject and learn the content within your subject is really important. So kind of content knowledge, pedagogical content knowledge, and then you've got this idea of creating a safe and secure, positive environment in the classroom. And you can add things to that like managing behaviour effectively, managing transitions between activities quickly with minimal loss of instruction. And then the final part is kind of how you engage students' thinking. And that's something that really does set apart a good teacher or an okay teacher, or even a very good teacher, to an outstanding teacher. So an outstanding teacher is able to get the kids to think, reflect, lots of examples of metacognition in the classroom, getting students to understand how they are going to learn something, and then reflecting on whether their way in which they learned something was effective. And if teachers can do these things, that really does set them apart from a teacher who is good or even very good. The last thing I'd add to that is kind of relationships between students and teachers are really important, and that's something I've always focused on in the classroom. If you can get the relationships right, respectful, challenging, and getting the students to understand that you are there to support them reaching their aspirations and making sure that you encourage them to set their aspirations as high as possible, then the kids will buy into that. And I think that's a really integral part of being an outstanding teacher. I think you really have to care about people, and the minute that you're working in a school and it becomes about you, you're not in the right place. It's always about the kids. It's always about what you can do to move kids forward, what opportunities you're providing kids. And I think that can sometimes get lost when we're thinking about what the next opportunity might be, what the next job might be. You forget the here and now, and outstanding teachers always have that ability to build relationships very, very quickly with kids.
So before I go into asking the specifics about how our teachers can become leaders, what do you think makes you a good leader?
A couple of things, I think. Just to be quick, I think there's something called integrative complexity or holistic thinking, which basically means that you are able to consider many aspects of what is a huge organisation and all of the moving parts within that. As a head of a big school, it's impossible for me to know everything that's going on, but I think what enables me to be successful is knowing how all of these moving parts fit together. Schools are really quite complex organisations, and you need to understand how the different bits work together, how different people are expected to work together, reporting lines, and certainly schools like Harrow, where the governance structure is quite complex, you need really to understand how all of that works. Because if you don't, you can get bogged down in the wrong areas and you can prioritise things that aren't really a priority in any given time. I think the other thing would be my glowing sense of humour, of course.
Obviously.
I think you have to laugh at yourself, and you have to laugh at some of the experiences that you have as a leader. I'm pretty resilient. I don't take things too too much to heart. So there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be things that don't work, there's going to be things that didn't turn out the way that you expected. I'm hoping my staff wouldn't say otherwise, but I don't micromanage. I give people lots of autonomy, and that's about trusting people, and that's also a pretty important part of why I think I'm successful.
It's effective delegation, really, isn't it? To trust your staff and empower them as well, to give them those opportunities to progress themselves.
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty easy person to work with. I think
Patient? You didn't mention patience?
I'm pretty patient. I think once you start moving into schools that have very complex structures, if you've not experienced it before, then that's a really good starting point to kind of think about how your educational leadership journey is going to progress.
Great.